20. At the end of this, let's just spend some time reflecting upon the truth that's being revealed. And the setting, so just to kind of lay this out a little bit, the setting is Abraham's tent pitched near the great trees of Mamre in the land of Canaan.
Shalom, good travelers. Welcome. Here, come rest under the shade of the tree, for it is the heat of the day. Yes, come. I'll have provisions brought for Eliezer, bring some water for our guests, and tell Hagar to help Sarah make 5 seahs of unleavened bread. Yes, please come. Make yourselves at peace here, my friends. It looks like you have come from a distant land. Oh, my name is Abraham, son of Terah. Yes, have you enjoyed your stay here, travels through the land of Canaan? Perhaps you've seen our majestic mountains to the north, or maybe our pleasant coastline to the west, and the Jordan Valley to the east, and south. South is not as beautiful as it once was. Oh, you saw it, yes, the desolation south of the Salt Sea. Yes, it's a sad story, I must say. Oh yes, I do know what happened there. If you would believe it, my friends, I actually partook of some of the events leading up to it, and my nephew Lot, he was actually one of the only survivors from that region. Yes, Eliezer, here, thank you. Here, come, rest yourselves, and here, have some refreshments, and I will tell you the truth, if you are willing to receive it. Well, let's see, it was about 6 moon cycles ago, and in a situation kind of like this, I was approached by 3 men that I had never seen before. But I did seek to be hospitable to them. I welcomed them in, that they may rest and have a meal with me. And they obliged. But as I ate with them, I realized they were no ordinary men. No, for see, one of them had turned to me and he said, "Your wife Sarah will have a son." Now, my friends, before I came to this land, El Elyon, God Most High, spoke to me. He said that he would bless me and make me into a great nation. Well, at the time, I was 75 years old, with no child of my own, and my wife 65, never having born a child. Well, I still believed in this God who had promised this to me. Though I will admit it has been challenging, as it's been almost 25 years since he gave me that promise. And throughout that time, that God has continued to reveal himself to me and make those promises to me, even swearing an oath, a covenant that he would fulfill. So you see, when that man told me that my wife was going to have a son, I knew this must be a messenger from my God, El Elyon. And of course, I believed that message as I had nearly 25 years ago, but I didn't know necessarily what else to do, how to respond. I was already hospitable to them, and I continued to pay respect to them. And then soon after, they got up to leave. And of course, as a host, I decided that yes, I would follow with them for a distance before we parted. And sure enough, we went on our ways until we came to a hill that overlooked the plain of Sodom and Gomorrah. We stopped. They looked. Then they took a few steps, still within earshot of me. The one said to the other 2, "Will I withhold what I plan to do from Abraham? Surely he will become a great nation, and all nations will be blessed through him. For I have decided to relate to him, that he would teach his descendants to relate to me." It was then that I realized this was my God. This was El Elyon come in human form to interact with me, to eat a meal with me, and now to even talk about being willing to share his plans with me as if I were his trusted friend? This was my God. And the two men he was talking to, they must be his heavenly servants. He continued on. The outcry of injustice against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great, and their sins so grievous, that I will go down, and I will see if it is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. Did you see what happened? He knew that I was listening. He just revealed his plans to me. He entrusted them to me. His plans to investigate and judge that region. Well, the two men, they didn't even respond. They just turned and walked down towards Sodom and Gomorrah. And there I was, standing near my Lord. What was he waiting for? He must want me to respond. Well, what should I say? Should I object to his plans? Well, no. Surely if he is the judge who is righteous, I have heard the wicked deeds done in that region, and surely they deserve punishment. Well, then should I rejoice and praise him for his decision, excited for the destruction of those people? No, that did not seem right. For what did he just say? That all the nations would be blessed through me? Well, if I'm supposed to be a blessing to all nations, should I not care about all nations? Even the nations of Sodom and Gomorrah? Should I not take interest in their well-being? Yes, I believe that that's what God wanted me to do, but what can I do for them? How can I bless them in this situation? I decided I would intercede for them. I would call for the Lord's mercy to be poured out upon them. So I approached my God, and I said, Lord, surely you are a good judge, and you do not desire for the righteous, those who have put their trust in you, to perish alongside the wicked, those who have turned their back on you. Otherwise, Lord, if you did that in this situation, what might others think? That it doesn't matter whether you trust yourself to the Lord or not, if you just end up experiencing the same fate? So Lord, what if there are 50 righteous people in that city? Will you not spare it for the 50 righteous? I was nervous, sweating, for if I had presented this proposal to the Lord, how would he respond? Well, his response was short and gracious. He said, if I find 50 righteous people in that city, I will spare the whole region for their sake. My friends, my God, El Elyon Most High just granted a request of me, a lowly creature. And my heart was so excited, but there was also this burning desire of boldness to continue further. How could I stop there? I needed to continue to intercede for those people. Maybe more of the mercy of my God will be poured out upon me and them. And so I said, Lord, now that I have been so bold as to present this request to you, though I am nothing but dust and ash, Lord, what if there are less than 50? What if there are 5 less, Lord? Will you still destroy the whole region because 5 are lacking? Had I overstepped my bounds this time? What would he say? Well, his response was even shorter than the one before. He said, if there are 45 righteous people found there, I will spare the whole region. He just yielded to my further request. This God who hears me and cares about what I am seeking to do for those people. Well, I couldn't stop there. I said, Lord, what about 40? And he said he would spare it. And I said, Lord, please don't be angry with me. What if there are only 30? And I said, Lord, what if just 20? He said he would spare it. And I fell down and I said, Lord, please, the last request that I have of you, Lord, this is the last. What if there are only 10? And he raised me up. He looked into my eyes and he said, if I find only 10 righteous people, I will spare the whole region. Is that not just amazing, my friends? That God Most High, El Elyon, He would seek to hear my petition, and not only to hear it, but to grant it, and then continue to yield to my further intercessions 5 times. What a God of grace. I would hope that my son would intercede for mankind. For you see, look at what it brought about. Look at how it can allow for mercy to be poured out upon mankind, to bless mankind in that way. Well, I had said all that I could say. And the Lord, well, He had revealed His plans to me, and so it was time for Him to depart. And I too went back to my tent, my heart overjoyed again at this God who would consider me a friend, to reveal His plans to me and allow me to present my requests to Him. But yet at the same time, my heart was burdened. For would 10 righteous people be found in the city of Sodom? Well, this now transitions to the report that I received from my nephew Lot not too long ago, where he said that same day, as night was approaching, he was at the city gate conducting his affairs. When he saw those 2 messengers of God come in through the gate, though he did not know who they were, he could tell that they were not from the area, so he desired to be hospitable to them. And he approached them and said, my sirs, please come to my house and have a meal and stay the night with me, and then you can be upon your way in the morning. Well, at first, they refused, and they said, no, we will stay in the city square, which was not unusual for our region and the climate. But Lot, he knew of the dangers of nightlife in the city of Sodom. And so he urged them, he said, no, please come to my house, you must. And so they relented, and they came to his house, and they had a meal with him and his family. Before they went to bed, Lot could hear a stirring outside of his house. And he looked out the window and he saw it was a crowd of men, both young and old, surrounding his house. And finally, one of them called out to him, where are those 2 men who came to your house tonight? Bring them out so that we may have our way with them. Lot was not turned back by the crowd. No, he actually opened the door of his house and closed it behind him, and he addressed the crowd. He said, no, my friends, do not do this wicked deed. Look, I have 2 virgin daughters. I'll bring them out, and you can do what you'd like to them. But please do not hurt these guests of mine who have come under the protection of my roof. Well, I'll admit, my friends, perhaps he was not so honorable to his daughters as he was to his guests. But you could see his heart, his desire to lay down his life, even the life of his family, to protect those 2 men. Well, the crowd was not dismayed. Get out of our way! You realize this man was a foreigner when he came to us, and now he's trying to play the role of judge, telling us what we can and cannot do. We'll treat him worse than those other 2 men. And they started to push up against Lot. And the door opened behind him, and one of the messengers of God reached out and grabbed him, pulled him in, and closed the door. And just as the men at the door were about to approach and break it down, 2 messengers of God raised their hands towards the door. And suddenly there was a cry of anguish and confusion. And the daughters of Lot were looking out, and they could see that the men at the front of the door were staggering about. They could not find the door as much as they were trying to, as if they were struck by some type of visionary delusionment. Though the door was just in front of them, they appeared to not be able to find it. Well, the two men told Lot that the Lord had sent them to destroy the city because of its wickedness, and that he needed to get him and his family out of the city tonight. Well, Lot, of course, was overwhelmed by this news and everything going on, and he thought to himself, well, my family, I've got my wife, my two daughters, what other family? Oh, I have two sons-in-law. Now, at the time, they were only betrothed to his daughters, but betrothal was definitely a very significant connection of family during this time in our culture. So, as Lot and his family were gathering up supplies to venture out into an unknown night, and who knows where after that, the crowd had dispersed at that time, and even the men at the door had grown weary of trying to find it, and they dispersed as well. And so Lot carefully opened the door, and he led the two men and his family out into the city. And he carefully navigated his way through the town, not knowing if the crowd would come again. And he made his way to the first door of his most closest son-in-law. And he banged upon the door. There was no answer. And he banged upon it again, and finally it opened up. And the son-in-law, kind of staggering from being awakened, looked and saw that it was his soon-to-be father-in-law there. And Lot implored him. He said, "Son, we must get out. The Lord is going to bring destruction upon the city. These are two messengers that he has sent to warn us and to get us out of here. You need to get out now." Well, the son stood there, kind of dismayed. Did Bartholomew put you up to this? Yeah, that was pretty good. I mean, you got it all down, the terror, the fright, the franticness. I mean, you did a good job there. And you can tell Bartholomew, he's got to do better next time, because I'm not going to believe this. I'm not going to go gallivanting into the night and be made fun of when it turns out all this was just a big hoax. No, go back to your home. I'm not doing this. Good night. He closed the door. And Lot was about to bang upon the door again when the messenger of God grabbed him and said, "We need to move on." Lot's heart saddened. He went to the next house, his other son-in-law, and he banged upon that door. And the son-in-law opened it the same way. He said, the Lord that I serve, he's going to destroy this city. He's going to bring destruction. Here are two messengers of God to warn us, to bring us out, to save us. Please come with us and be saved. Well, again, the son-in-law just kind of stood there, though, this time, put his hands on his hips and shook his head and said, "You know, Lot, I've been trying to put up with your religious jargon all this time, but you've gone too far. I mean, clearly your devotion to this God has driven you to religious paranoia, where you just think it's the end of the world and we have to do everything that he desires. Well, I'm not buying it, Lot. No, in fact, don't you realize that I have gods that I serve and that there are many gods in this city? If your one God truly wants to bring harm to our city, our many gods will protect us from your one invisible God. Go back home, Lot. Go back home." He closed the door. And of course, Lot was dismayed, and he tried to find other ways to stall him and his family getting out of the city. Perhaps other things he could save, other people he could reach out to. But eventually, the two messengers of God said, "It's almost sunrise. We need to leave now." So they dragged Lot and his family out of the city. And they were out just on the outskirts of the city when they said, "Flee to the mountains. Do not turn back, and do not stop anywhere on the plain, or you will be overtaken." Well, Lot, he looked up at the distant mountains. He saw the distance between them, and he thought about the impending destruction behind him, and he just was seized by fear. And he told the messengers, "Thank you so much for all that you have done to be gracious and rescue us. But if I try to make it to the mountains, the destruction will overtake me. I cannot do it. But there's this town. There's this town that's much closer, Zoar. If I flee there, surely I will be safe, right?" And the messenger of God sighed. "Very well, I'll grant this request. The town of Zoar will be spared. Go there quickly. I can't do anything until you reach it." So, Lot and his family headed off for Zoar. And just as they were entering the town, burning sulfur from heaven fell upon the region. Some of the people of Zoar who witnessed it said that it was like a waterfall of red-hot embers coming down from the sky, completely engulfing and destroying Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboiim. And all the vegetation around it completely destroyed. Only Lot and his 2 daughters survived from that region. And Lot's wife, well, I'm sad to say that as they were approaching or entering into the town of Zoar and the burning sulfur was coming down, Lot's wife looked back, a part of her heart wanting to return to that place. And it was her undoing. Well, that morning, after a very difficult night's sleep, I awoke early and I ran to the hill to overlook the plain. And I saw dense smoke rising. My heart was grieved. Well, yes, grieved for Lot and his family. I did not know what had happened to them, but grieved for all the people, for all those who had to suffer the judgment. You see, my friends, I believe that this God that I serve desires for none to perish, but that all may be saved from such judgment. I believe that all of us have wronged him. All of us have done wrong against each other and ultimately sinned against him. And I am no exception, my friends. There's nothing special about me and nothing special about my nephew Lot. In fact, even not too long ago, I was in the town or the city of Gerar. And when I approached that city, I realized that the people around were wicked, and I was afraid that they might kill me to try to take my wife. And so I told my wife to lie to the people and tell them that she was only my sister. Well, then the king of Gerar took my wife to be his wife. And so now I had subjected him to committing sin with my wife, and I had almost lost my wife. All because I lied and because I did not believe that the Lord would trust me. My friends, no, I am not perfect. I am not sinless. I, like you, need to turn to the God who cares about our well-being, the God who wants to bless you. He wants to bless all people. He wants to have a relationship with all people, my friends. Otherwise, what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah is but a foreshadow of what the whole world has to look forward to. If we continue in our sinful ways, continue to reject him, will not the whole world face such judgment? And yet, we have a God who wants to be merciful and gracious. Have you not seen that from what I have told you? This God was merciful to my intercession. And I believe that he will be merciful if you cry out to him as well. Because he has the power to make us right with him, to remove all of our iniquities, that we may be in a right relationship with him. Thank you, Eliezer. Yes, my friends, the meal is ready. Please come in and let me tell you more about this God who wants to bless you, this God who cares about you, who wants to have a relationship. Yes, come in. Let me tell you more about him, please.
That was good. Let's pray and be dismissed.